What's good? What's good? It's the one and only, but what do I know? Boxing coming back at y'all with another one, man. So, right now, at this moment, at this very moment, I'm walking with my daughter, walking around the neighborhood, doing our daily walk, man. You know, it is what it is. Uh, I just got back in the gym and sparred for the first time, and I ain't sparred since February, bro. So, that was pretty fun. But one of my one of the subscribers asked me, my friends with him on Facebook actually, he inboxed me and wanted me to do a video based off of okay, so he had a two-part question. The first question was, how do I feel about the Charlo twins? Basically asking how do I feel, like what do I see them coming? I probably should have just went back and read it, but I'm just going off memory. But basically asking, how do I feel about them? Like, how do I feel about their future? Like, do I feel like they could be a champion again? And the second question had something to do with basically like which Charlo twin did I feel like was more hungrier? And so that's a good question. I definitely wanted to answer that. So that's an interesting topic, man. As far as and I'm gonna break both of them down. As far as Jermell goes, I kind of predicted that. Well, and it hasn't been a year, so who knows whether I'm right or wrong? Only time will tell. But I stated that, man. Like, the thing about Jermell is, I thought that after his performance with Canelo Alvarez, I kind of felt like he wasn't. I think that that he made so much money off of that fight, and that fight actually did successful pay-per-view numbers. They did like 700 and something pay-per-view buys or whatever. I kind of feel as though Jermell in order for him to be, or what made Jermell the successor that he was, is if you know Jermell, he always walked around with a chip on his shoulder, and he always just had that nudge about himself, like basically feeling like he didn't get the credit that he deserved or whatnot. He felt like he was just his back was, he felt like everybody was against him. He was often compared to his brother, something that I actually feel like he didn't like, and he just had that chip on his shoulder or whatnot. But that chip seemed to go away, man. And he basically lost that hunger. I feel like and this is just my thought, I feel like he may have lost that hunger. I mean, a lot of times when fighters fight, man, it's hard. It's hard enough to become a champion, but it's even harder to keep that hunger, because majority of fighters, all they want to do is mainly make a lifestyle that provides a wealthy life for their family, for them and their family or whatnot. And Jermell, even before the Canelo fight, has provided a very wealthy lifestyle for him and his family. I know he buys a lot of land and property or whatnot. So I just kind of think that Jermell is content with what he has or where he is, and there's nothing wrong with that, bro. Like, Jermell has solidified himself in boxing, whether people like it or not, or whether people want to admit it or not. Jermell has stamped himself into the boxing world. The man has, become the first undisputed champion at 154 pounds in the Fort Bell era. He's solidified himself. And the thing about it is, personally, like I made a prediction after his fight with Canelo, stating that, like, I don't think that I think that he's either going to take a long time away from the sport, or I think he's going to either be away from the sport for a long time, like, or he just ultimately just may retire. But I didn't see him coming back so soon, or I don't, because nothing's still been announced. I don't see him coming back so soon against Canelo Alvarez, seeing how, like I said, he just made a lot of money. As for Jermall, I mean, I don't know, man. So let me go ahead, because what I have to say about Jermall is going to go ahead and answer his second question. He asked, do I ever see them becoming champions again? or whatnot. Well, being that Jamal just finally got stripped of his WBC, that kind of ties into my first answer with Jermell, seeing how I'm not gonna say that they won't ever be champions again, because they both have the skill set, but I don't know if they have the hunger. But I'm not gonna ever say that they won't become a champion again, because that's, politics can make that happen. If you pull the right strings, that can make that happen. As evidence, I know Jermaine Taylor, somebody that if you follow my channel, you know that I'm very, very close with Jermaine Taylor. Jermaine Taylor actually, he took 2 years away from the sport after he, lost to Arthur Abraham or whatnot, and came back. And, Al Heyman was able to get him a shot at the IBF title against Sam, I think what's his name? Sam Solomon or something like that. That sounds like that's in the Bible. Oh, I can't, whatever the dude's name, I forgot the dude's name. But anyways, Jermaine ended up beating him and becoming a 2-time middleweight champion. So, I'll never say that they won't be champions again. Like I said, just with the right strings being pulled, Al Heyman can make that happen. At 168, once Canelo vacates those titles, it's not out of the realm of possibilities for Jamal to get a title shot at one of those titles, and possibly, against a guy that's less known. Obviously they have to be ranked, but against, a guy that we don't feel like is on the level of a Jamal Charlo or whatnot. And as Jermell goes, well, the middleweight division, I assume that if Jermell was to come back, depending on when or if he comes back, it would be at middleweight. I don't necessarily know if he would even come back to 154, or even if he can make 154. Who knows? But I'm sure that the middleweight division is not stacked like it was a few years ago. So I'm sure that he can make, so I mean, it's not out of the possibilities for them to become a champion again. The problem is, from what I know about boxing and what I've seen, when a fighter takes more than a year off, and when I say more than a year, I'm not talking about a year and 2 months. Like, when a fighter takes 2 or more years off, a lot of times they never come back the same. They just don't come back the same fighter, with the exception of Floyd Mayweather. And even to a degree, I can still put him in this category, as great as Floyd was after, because he took that 2-year layoff against who was it, Ricky Hatton, and then came back and fought Marquez. But even as great as he did, I can still, to a degree, put him in this category. A lot of fighters don't come back the same. They just don't. Boxing is such it's so much wear and tear on your body that once you kind of stop, it's hard to stop for boxing. First and foremost, this is somebody that's been competing for over half my life, and I'm 33 right now, so almost 20 years, since my very first amateur fight. I just it's very hard to quit or walk away from the sport, but it's extremely hard to start back when you take time off. Jermell and Jamal are both 34, I believe. They're 34, and I'll never forget, man. I remember watching an interview, actually the post conference with Paulie Malignaggi and Adrian Broner, and I remember Paulie Malignaggi was saying, I'm 30. I have 33-year-old legs now. I don't have 23-year-old legs, and that's how old Adrian Broner was at the time he fought Paulie. And at the time I was thinking, like, man, that's I don't want to hear that. But bro, I'm 33, and I'm like looking back, I can't move nowhere as good as I used to. My legs aren't like what they used to be in the ring. But luckily when you've done it so long, you have the experience to cut corners and whatnot, and it makes up for that youth and athleticism that you once had. So I said that to say, even with them at their age 34, granted that they're on a much more higher level than what I am, it's still it's hard to really get that hunger, especially when you've done everything that you've possibly wanted as far as Jermell goes. Now, to answer the who do I feel like is more hungry between the two, I mean, who has more hunger? That's I can't really answer that, bro, because again, it just all depends on them. Time will tell, because I don't know how good they can be coming back, because I haven't even seen Jermell since his fight with Canelo Alvarez. I don't know where he's at mentally. We saw Jamal against Jose Benavidez, and he didn't look bad against Jose Benavidez, but he, obviously he didn't look like what he did. I don't know, man. That's really hard to. It's really hard to tell who has that hunger. Going back to what I was saying, when a fighter takes so much time off, they don't ever come back the same, man. I remember Jermaine Taylor, going back to Jermaine, bro. Like, I remember he took 2 years off after he lost to Arthur Abraham, and he just never was the same, bro. He just didn't have that, even his jab that Jermaine had if you know Jermaine Taylor, bro, Jermaine had a damn good jab, one of the best jabs that I've seen. Like, his jab is what got him the victory over Bernard Hopkins. Like, Jermaine had a very good jab, but even his jab wasn't like it once was. I can think of many more. Peter Quillen, I remember when he took that time off, and even though I never thought Peter Quillen was just that much great of a fighter, he had looked the same. Like, just stuff. It's easy to age in the sport of boxing. So my daughter over here playing. So it's hard for me to answer that question, man. I feel like Jamal still has stuff to prove, because once again, whether people want to admit it or not, I think Jermell has stamped himself more into boxing, more so than what Jamal has. Jermell being undisputed at 154. Granted, Jamal has had a title at 154. I think he might have even been unified at 154. I'm not sure. But he's had a title at 154 and 160, and seeing depending on what Canelo does in the near future, he could even, I wouldn't be surprised if Al Haymon was to pull some strings and get him a title shot at 168 against a less, maybe a weaker opponent. But as far as him being in there with the top dogs, I'm gonna be honest, I don't see Jermall Charlo beating any of the top dogs at 168 pounds. I don't see him beating Caleb Plant. I don't see him and David Morrell both train under Ronnie Shields, so I don't see how that would happen. But I don't see him beating David Benavidez is not at 168 anymore. So that's that's actually a fortunate thing for Jamal. But I don't even see Jamal beating Jaime Munguia at this point. And at one point, I thought Jamal would have taken Jaime Munguia to school at one point. The Jamal that fought Sergey Derevyanchenko, but this Jermall Charlo here, like, I don't see him beating Jaime Munguia. You know what I'm saying? Edgar Berlanga, I think that Jamal still beats Edgar Berlanga, but I don't consider Edgar Berlanga a top guy. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know, man. as far as the champion part goes, like, it just depends on where what stars align for him at 168 pounds. But as far as do I see him beating the top guy at 168 at this point in his career? No. But do I see him becoming a champion? Well, it's possible. It just all depends on what Al Haymon, what stars align. Maybe, you know, he can definitely fight for a vacant title. You know, Al Haymon was able to get Adrian Broner a vacant title at 140 pounds after coming off of a loss to Sean Porter. You know what I'm saying? So Al Haymon, you know, Al Haymon was able to get Jermaine Taylor a title shot at you know, for the IBF title. So that's not out of the possibilities of realms. I'm just gonna put that out there. But, you know, all in all, I'm a big fan of the Charlos. You know, unfortunately, they've been going through things outside of the ring, and they're not seeing eye to eye. Hopefully they can. But anyways, let me know what you think about the Charlo brothers. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. But what do I know? Oh yeah, and also, man, feel free to drop a question, man, or, you know, just drop a question in the comment section about anything, man. I'll be happy to answer all questions, man, give you my opinion, or if you know, want to know about the sport more, just drop the question. I'll be sure to answer it. All right, but what do I know?